It depends. Not just on God. It depends on you. You see, it depends on how much you can trust God. How much you can trust God. You know, if you don't trust God, He can't really use you because you won't go where He asks you to go. You won't do what He asks you to do. You'll be afraid of Him. I mean, your whole thinking will be preoccupied with questions that start with the words, what if? What if He asks me to do something I don't want to do? Got news for you. Probably will. What if He makes me suffer? What if He sends me someplace where there's no pizza? What if? What if? 100 years ago, there was a very comfortable generation of Christians in the United States, and God raised up a man named Albert Benjamin Simpson. And one day he was reading his Bible, and God spoke to him. The words of Matthew 24:14 leaped out of the page, and we've seen it this morning. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. He couldn't believe it. It had been there all along. He hadn't seen it before. He flipped back to Matthew 28. All authority in heaven and earth has been given unto me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. He went back to Matthew 24:4, and then the end will come. He got up in front of his church, and he preached a message that electrified his people. He said the king is waiting on his church to finish the job that he gave it to do. He preached before conferences. He preached before larger and larger audiences. And young people got out of their homes and left their families and left this country. They went to Africa. They went to China. They went to Indochina. They went to South America. And if you go there today, you can see their graves. But you can also see the churches that they founded where hundreds of thousands of people know Christ today because they went. My friends, listen. This is what the Spirit of God is saying. If you and I remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the lost people of this world will come from another place. God will find someone else. He will find another generation that is willing to do the job. But who knows? Who knows but that you were created by God and brought to this place today for such a time as this? I want to ask you to make this the passion, not of just this moment, not just the passion of this year, but the passion of your life to finish the job. To do whatever it takes to bring the nations to worship at the feet of Jesus. I'm not talking about being a missionary. You can't all be missionaries. I'm talking about prayer. And I'm talking about giving. And I'm talking about witnessing to foreigners who live within our borders. I'm talking about work teams. I'm talking about serving God, whatever it takes. Are you willing to make that the passion of your life? Jesus Christ will not come until the job is done. Friends, you can wait until you're old and sitting in a wheelchair, but He will not come until the job is done. We could win every single American to Jesus Christ, and He still would not come, because He wants more than Americans in His heaven. He wants the whole world in His heaven. That is how great the heart of God is. My friends, He will not come. He will not come until the job is done. And He awaits a generation who will do it. I want the King to return. I want King Jesus to return. Because when He returns, He will end all wars. When He returns, He will end sickness and death and hatred and racism and poverty and injustice. I don't want this world to go on like this forever. I want the King to come. In 2 days, I'll be back at my hospital in Africa. When he comes, I won't have to watch my African friends die of AIDS and malaria and cancer and violence. I want the King to come. But do you? Do you want the King to come? Answer me this question. Do you want the King to come? 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 If you want him to come, then finish the job.